listening to the Patriot Nation Podcast.
All right, welcome into another edition of the Patriot Nation Podcast. As always, your guy Pat Lane here with my man Matt St. Jean, and we are a proud member of the CLNS Group of Podcasts. Make sure you download and subscribe to all of the great shows to get great Patriots content all week long. But tonight it is the Patriot Nation Podcast, and what else can you say? What else can you say other than the fact that we are living in bizarro world right now? The Falcons, the Atlanta Falcons, on Thursday night came back in a crazy victory, including overcoming a 3rd and 28, and the New England Patriots blew a 21-0 lead against the Buffalo Bills and lost the AFC. Well, didn't lose the AFC, but lost their opportunity to clinch the AFC East on Sunday. We're living in a bizarre world, and I don't freaking like it.
Weird week in the NFL. There's some stat that like 5 different teams this week have blown 10-point leads.
Brutal.
Yeah, not a great week to have a big lead in the NFL. And everything about this Sunday for the Patriots started off strong and obviously did not finish that way. And, I think this is one of those games where you had an opportunity and you let it slip through your fingers, and you're going to have more opportunities down the stretch to rectify it. But you have to live with this now. This is the bed this team has made. And all right. And it's what's nice is that we're holding them to this standard. Like, that's an improvement, but they're here now. And like, once you're here, there's no closing Pandora's box. Once you win games, the expectations are going to be there, and that's what you have to play to.
Right. It's true. So I think, I guess, do we start in the first? I feel like we're going to start in the first half, right? Because the first half, as bad as the second half was, the first half was incredible, right? The Patriots were dominating. They were dominant in the run game. Trayvon Henderson was running very well. Of course, had a long touchdown run. He gets the ball in the open field, and you just it's a touchdown. You just know he hits a touchdown. I don't even know who 24 is for the Bills, but he took an angle where he thought he was going to be able to get to Henderson, and it was just like, nah, sorry, bro. That's a touchdown.
Cole Bishop, I think.
Yeah.
I think we got to start. I mean, obviously, Trayvon Henderson ends up being a big player in this, but I think we got to start before that with the first couple touchdowns with Drake May running it in.
Yep.
And you build. I think we have to start with a play that kind of, in a not great way, sets the tone for the day. The first big play of this game for New England ends up being on 3rd and 7, where Drake May hits Kayshon Boutte down the sideline, right side, for a 30-yard completion on a ball that may or may not have actually been caught, but was called a catch on the field. And, at the time, I think watching this play, the way I understood this, especially with things that happened on the next drive, it's a bang-bang play. Was it a catch? Probably not. Does it get overturned on review? I don't really know. It's tough to tell. Patriots don't give them that opportunity. They sprint to the line, they get on the ball, they run a play, and that allows the play to stand, and the Bills don't challenge it. And that, to me, set a tone at the beginning of this game that the Patriots are going to outcoach the Bills. They're going to outprepare the Bills. And for the Bills on the next drive, their first play, a long catch by Brandon Cooks, call the catch. Bills race up to the line. Mike Vrabel gets a challenge flag out, and the challenge doesn't end up mattering because it goes to expedited review, and it's clearly not a catch. But right off the bat, it sets a tone of difference in preparedness for both of these teams. And that's apparent. Both of the Patriots' first 2 touchdowns, Drake May designed runs with them unleashing that part of the offense that we talked about this week. They could be saving for a moment like this. They do it, and you have 14-0. You end up then extending us to 21-0, and things are feeling good.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they were 2 for 2 in the red zone. Now, technically, they were 2 for 3 because, at the end of the first half, they got into the red zone, but they had to kick a field goal, right? So, because they had no time left, right? So, but for all intents and purposes, they were 2 for 2 in the red zone today, which is great for a team that's terrible in the red zone. The problem is they couldn't get in the red zone in the second half, but that's neither here nor there. But that extra wrinkle to your offense. And by the way, that QB draw by Drake May, I was convinced that was a pass. And, obviously it was in my end zone. And my dad says to me, no, that was a run. And I go, no way. No way that was a run. He was back there scanning the defense. And then I watched replay. I'm like, oh my God, Bradbury and Wilson are downfield blocking. It was a design run, but he sold it so perfectly that you couldn't tell that it was a design run. And so I was very impressed with that. I loved that call. I loved the read option on the first touchdown. And the ability of Vadarian Lowe to get the outside guy knowing that Drake May was going to beat the inside guy to the spot, which he did. That was impressive to me. And look, that's the type of stuff where it's an offense that hasn't done well in the red zone. When you get into those tight situations, you have to be able to score. And being able to do that twice was great. Now, on the defensive side, of course, the Bills went 5-5 in the red zone. Not ideal. But,
we'll get to that when we get to that.
But nevertheless, the Patriots offensively figured some things out in the red zone, and part of that is the QB running game. And now if you have to worry about that makes the Patriots a lot more dynamic in the red zone.
It does. And I thought Josh McDaniels was amazing early. There were a couple of wrinkles here that we saw today. QB run game being one. The other one, which no one really saw coming, was the pony personnel. The Patriots' kind of base offensive package today featured Trevion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson in together. And the way they use this in the running game, pony personnel can be tough to use effectively because the defense has to respect both players as pass threats and run threats to make it really dynamic and make it an advantage for you. But the Bills like to play a lot of man defense. So what the Patriots were doing with it is one of the running backs would go out pretty aggressively into like a wheel route. And because they're good enough receivers, that linebacker has to go run with him. Mm-hmm. And they do that and they call a draw for the other running back out of that. So they're running right into the hole where the linebacker's sprinting out of as fast as he can to go cover the other running back. I thought it was brilliant. And that's like both of the Drake May touchdown runs were the similar type of thing where we're going to use man coverage. Like, we know you like to play man. We are going to use that against you. The QB draw was the fact that like the McDaniels put the two most dangerous weapons for the Patriots in the slot there in Hunter Henry and Stephon Diggs, knowing that the Bills were going to try to double whoever was in the slot. Well, because they're doubling whoever's in the slot, those two like safeties or linebackers in the middle of the field are not looking at the quarterback. They're looking from inside out at the receiver that they have to double cover. So no one's looking at the quarterback. And as long as no one on the defensive line recognizes what's going on, you've got a walk-in score.
Right.
And I thought that really came together. And we emphasized that they haven't been able to beat a bad run defense this year. They haven't been able to punish that. For long stretches of this game, they were able to do that. You open up this game, first play of the game is a 15-yard run. You get the 30-yard run, past the booty after. You get a 4-yard run after that. You get a Pop Douglas 5-yard run. You get a Ramondre Stevenson 8-yard run. Drake May 8-yard run for the touchdown. Like, you're just stringing together good run after good run. Your next touchdown drive, it's more of the same. Trevion Henderson with a run, a decent run for that one. A couple passes in there, then May with the scramble. And May had a 17-yard run to start off that drive too. So, you're able to kind of get that running game going, punish that Buffalo defense that hasn't been good at it. And then that all sets up the 52-yard Trevion Henderson touchdown run that puts you up 21-0, which we also talked about. Buffalo defense will give up explosive runs, and they're able to do it. And like at that point, it looks like everything we talked about that was like a question of can they do this well in this game was coming up as yeses across the board. And it's all right. So how much are we going to beat them by is what you're thinking at that point.
Yeah. And unfortunately, in the back of my head, all I could think of was the Bills are going to come back. The Bills are going to come back. They get the ball to start the second half. They're going to come back. They're going to score. That's going to happen. And so then the question was, can we continue to execute on offense once the Bills figure some things out offensively? And unfortunately, the answer to that question was no, but that was the hope, right? And I just thought the way that they executed in the first half was fantastic. They were aggressive in the run game on both sides of the football. The blocking was solid, right? The pass blocking was solid. The run blocking was solid. They were creating lanes and creating goals. I thought Ramondre Stevenson ran incredibly hard today. I was impressed with him. And again, he's not Trayvon Henderson's the guy that you want getting those carries, right? But you need Ramondre Stevenson to pick up some tough yardage and to turn 2-yard gains into 5-yard gains and to do some of those things. And he did a nice job of that today, And so it's just and he was by the way, him and Henderson were both solid in the passing game too, I thought. And so, look, it went really well. It was fun in the first half. Even still, I thought May, a little uncharacteristically, was not super solid. He was not super accurate with the ball. He had a few misses. Even like Matt Collins had that one outrageous catch where on an in cut where he did it. His little celebration after was him climbing the ladder. Like he got up there and climbed the ladder to catch it. He had another one where May threw it like low and away behind him, and he reached back and plucked it out of the air. I was like, only ended up being like a 4-yard catch. It was an unbelievable play by him. And so, May, he just wasn't sharp today. He wasn't as sharp in the first half. It doesn't show up. He had the really nice pass to Booty, but outside of that, you weren't like, oh my God, here's some great throws by him. He missed a few, right? He had one.
He was great as a runner. He did a really good job there.
You're right about that.
But the passing was a little inconsistent, which I think when we get into the collapse, I think there's a play that's a really good example of this. It still goes down as a positive in the second half I want to talk about. But he was not fully on his game in the first half.
Yeah.
There's also a sequence I think I want to talk about that's like it's kind of foreshadowing what happens later in the game. There's only one drive in the first half where the Patriots don't score. But what happens, you have to go back to the previous possession to kind of put all of the pieces together. Patriots score on the first drive, then the Bills get the ball. They return that kickoff 45 yards into New England territory. So they're starting on our side of the field. Patriots get a stop. Defense holds. We can talk about the defense and how they started in a second here. But you're able to hold them, but then you get the ball back deep in your own territory because of that. You are at your own, inside your own, yeah. And you're able to get, I think, one first down. Yeah, you're able to get a first down. A couple of runs, Henderson with a pair. Then you pick up a quick dump off to Henderson, another run by Henderson that sets you up with a 3rd and 1. And after a bunch of really good runs in a row, you go for a pass. And May misses on it to Hollins. And now because you give up the kick return on the drive before, even though your defense gets a stop, you're deep in your own territory. So now on 4th and 1, you can't go for it. If you don't give up that big return, you're in midfield right now. But instead, you're deep in your own territory.
Right.
And May's not able to, you just can't execute that play when you're throwing it there, trying to catch him off guard. And now you're punting. And, I'm not going to cast the most blame on the offense here for a game where you give up 35 points, but you're going against Josh Allen. And you do feel like you're leaving an opportunity out there. And that theme of you just coming up a little bit short in situational execution on offense, paired with the kicking game putting you in a worse spot than you should be in, it kind of is what ends up leading to the Buffalo comeback starting late in the second quarter into the second half.
Yeah, and it's inexcusable stuff. It's inexcusable. You can't be doing those things. And that miss to Hollins was pretty bad. I think he thought Hollins was going to be further outside. It was a fade route.
Yeah, which is also I don't love that play call there. That feels too fancy. And if you're going to call that because you're going for it on 4th down no matter what, I don't hate that. And going for it on 4th and 1 at your own 33-yard line, it's probably too aggressive. But in a game like this where you're already running the ball as well as you are, I wouldn't have hated it. Like,
Right.
I don't. That'd be fine to really step on the gas there if you want. I can get behind that if you can execute it. But if you don't execute the play, and I'll have to check the tape on that to see if that was the best possible option for May. But it was a throw that never really seemed like they had a chance.
Yeah, it's just frustrating. So, by the way, goalie here asked, does Travion Henderson have a case for Offensive Rookie of the Year? Look, he's creeping up there. I think Jackson Dart and Emeka Ibuka right now are probably the two.
Ibuka's been rough.
That's the thing. So he started out the year incredibly hot. He's probably going to end up with decent numbers overall for the year, but he's had a hard time this last month or so. And so as someone who has him on the fantasy team, I can tell you that is definitely the truth. And so, look, I think what Henderson's been doing, I mean, listen, Travion Henderson has four rushing touchdowns of 50 yards or more this season.
Yeah.
Before this year, the Patriots had 2 rushing touchdowns of 50 yards or more in the last 15 years combined. So what he's doing is not normal. This is not normal stuff. I think you could even argue like Quinshon Judkins was having a solid year, but he really hasn't done a lot.
Yeah.
What Henderson is doing for the Patriots and his big play ability puts him in line to maybe be, the offensive rookie. He may not win it, but he's certainly in the conversation.
He's, as of a couple days ago, was 5th in odds for it. Teteroa McMillan is the favorite right now.
And that makes sense.
He has been really good. I think the other one that makes it tough is Tyler Warren has kind of been, there's a lot of talk about what Daniel Jones did this season, what Jonathan Taylor did this season. But I think in a lot of ways, the new piece that put that Colts offense together was Tyler Warren. The fact that they had a tight end like that who was so dynamic was kind of able to open up the rest of the skill players. So I think it's Tyler Warren, I think, has faded a little bit too much, especially with what's happened at the QB position there for Indy.
Well, I also think, too, with Ted, like his last 3 games, 2 for 25 yards, 1 for 43. Now, that was a touchdown. Yeah. 2 for 25, 1 for 43, and 2 for 35. It's not like
not finishing strong right now.
He's only cracked 100 yards twice. Whatever. I mean, it doesn't really make a difference. Like, I don't really care whether he wins or not, but it is interesting. He's certainly been one of, quantifiably, statistically wise, one of the best offensive rookies, to come out this year.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Should we talk about? Well, I think before we get into the collapse part of things, can we talk a little bit about what went well for the defense early?
Yes.
I think it's important for the context of why things go wrong. I felt like the first couple drives, it was the first 3 drives of this game, Patriots did a good job of run defense and an even better job at pass defense. 3rd and 5 on the first drive, Allen misses a throw, I think, because he's not expecting what the Patriots defense throws at him and unsettled, and he's not accurate. Then you get a 3rd down sack, which you're able to get into a 3rd and 9 in part because of a false start, but you're also able to get some run stops early in that drive to help set up a 3rd and long. You're able to get a sack because you can throw something exotic at him. On the drive after that, the Bills get some yardage, but it's the same thing where it's all right. Josh Allen run for 2 yards. Josh Allen run for 1 yard. You're in 3rd and the 2 yards just to keep you sneak, but run for 1 yard on 2nd down. That means that they're going to be passing. You're able to get a sack that sets up 3rd and 15, and you're just able to stop it before the sticks. And you're able to get into some exotic pass looks that had him flustered, and he didn't really know what was coming because you're able to stop the run on early downs, and you're able to get him off the field. And that's the 0 of the 21-0 right there. Defense was electric for the first quarter and a half.
Yeah, they were, and then one of the things is that Robert Spillane, active for the game, went through practice or went through warmups and wasn't able to go. And I think that shows up later on in the game. Milton Williams misses the game with an injury. That shows up later on in the game. When you don't have those guys, right, when you're missing your best defensive lineman and your best linebacker, that shows up eventually. The Bills were able to control the clock in the second half because they decided we are running the ball up the middle. And they can't stop us. And guess what? The Patriots could not stop them. And I'll get into James Cook in a little bit because the stats are alarming when you look at what James Cook was able to do in the second half. But, not having Milton Williams, not having Robert Spillane, missing Carlton Davis for a little chunk of time there. Marcus Jones was banged up for a bit, ended up fighting through it, was banged up for a bit at the end of the first half. So just, guys are hurt. Guys are fighting through things. And, Christian Ellis and Jack Gibbons were fine. But Christian Ellis and Jack Gibbons are not Robert Spillane. Jack Gibbons is okay. He's not great. And so I think, not having those guys is definitely wore on the Patriots as time went on, especially in that second half. But defensively, you're right. They came out with their hair on fire. They just couldn't sustain it.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the things the unanswered questions coming into this game, Patriots run defense really good to start the year and then not so good lately. And I think there were some legitimate reasons, like it could just be that they're prioritizing run defense less and prioritizing pass defense more. And that's a factor in why the run defense doesn't look as good. And early in this one, that's what it looked like to me, because it looked like they knew run defense was going to be important and they came out wanting to stop it, and then they did stop it. And it was okay. So maybe the issues we've seen over the last month were simply a prioritization thing about what they felt was most important to stop. And then you get into late in the second quarter and early in the third, and Patriots are loading the box on defense, and it's not making a lick of difference for what the Bills are doing. And I think that's just personnel. Like watching this, it didn't feel schematic. It didn't feel to me like that big of a coaching thing. It just felt like the Bills have guys that the Patriots don't in that area right now. No Milton Williams, no Robert Spillane. This is a team that, particularly at linebacker and safety, is not the strongest up the middle anyway. And you lose two pieces against a team that's as dynamic at running the football as Buffalo is. And, it just didn't feel like they had any answers.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you. All right, we're gonna switch over to the collapse. We'll do an ad break before that. But before we get to that, the officials, the officiating today.
This is why I mentioned that booty play on the first thing, because I thought that was a coaching thing, but it's actually, no, the officiating was just not going to be good today.
I just don't understand. So, listen, the Carlton Davis pass interference, by the letter of the law, is that pass interference? I guess you want to call it, I would say it's probably more holding than his pass interference because he didn't really turn him, but nevertheless.
I think because the ball's in the air, it can only be pass interference.
Okay, fine. So that's fine. So pass interference. Is that by the letter of the law pass interference? Sure. Were there 4 other plays with Patriots receivers that could have been called pass interference? Yeah. Am I happy they weren't? I mean, I'm not happy they weren't, but just let them play. What are we doing? That's stupid. The Marcus Jones call, I don't understand. I just don't. And I know the Bills are all right with it. I don't care what anyone says. There is no world in where that is defensive pass interference. No world.
I can understand why someone might at least initially think that's defensive pass interference, or how you might get a call wrong on that in a way that's defensive pass interference. No part of me was prepared for the official to come on the mic and say that the Bills caught that football.
It's insane. It's insane.
That is the part to me that was just I don't understand it. For there to be shared possession, the Bills player has to have his hands on the football, not on the defensive back.
Right. He never even touched the ball. He never touched the ball until Marcus had it in his hands, and then he tried to rip it out of Marcus's hands. It was a clear interception. And, don't give me this underthrow garbage because Khalil Shakir is backing up. He never went through Mark. He's going backwards. So
there's contact there, but not enough. And that's I think a lot of those calls that were made were like technically correct in some way, but the amount of contact was relatively light, and it
Well,
didn't necessarily feel like that was applied evenly.
and so this is the thing. The Matt Collins throw down the sideline. Was there contact there? Absolutely. Was that defensive pass interference? No. But if you're telling me that the Carlton Davis one is pass interference, which is on 3rd and 15 or whatever, which gives the Bills a touchdown, and the long pass to Khalil Shakir, which was on 4th down, which would have given the Patriots the ball, if both of those are pass interference, you're telling me that this one isn't pass interference, is the biggest play of the game. It gives the Patriots first and goal at the 9-yard line. And so you just cannot have those plays go one way. I also think that the Woodson holding call on 3rd down, was it a hold? Yes, it was. Did on the final 2 drives of the game, did Stephon Diggs get grabbed like that? Yes. Did Hunter Henry get grabbed like that? Yes.
Did Matt Collins trying to set up that pick play at the end there?
So if you're making those calls against the Patriots, you need to be making them against both teams, and you're not doing that. And that is where, when people get all these, like, you want to get into your, what's it called? Conspiracy theories and all this other stuff. That's where people have a problem with it. Now, listen, I'm not telling you that any of those should have been. I'm not telling you any of those are penalties. The ones the Patriots committed were penalties. They should have been called penalties because they were penalties.
Except for the Marcus Jones.
Except for the Marcus Jones one. The Woodson one was absolutely a penalty. 100%. It was a penalty. It was the right call.
The Woodson one is the type of play that is borderline and defensive backs try to get away with. So, like, that Woodson play, you're going to see that go uncalled 50-50. Right. Because defensive backs will try to slip that in a lot, and it just doesn't get called every time. But, like, what he does there is he has to play, like, a weird leverage on an over route, and he gets beat. So you just do a quick thing where you reach one arm around and kind of tug the hip a little bit just to give yourself a little extra momentum to stay with it.
Yeah.
Because the receiver, like, it alters his gait, and he's very clearly, like his leg comes up weirdly because his momentum changes, and that makes it obvious, and they're going to call that every time. Which, maybe this is something we should be looking at for defensive coaching, is that our defensive backs don't necessarily seem to be that good at committing defensive pass interference and getting away with it.
Yeah.
But then, I kind of go back to our preview, and we talked about how close the first matchup between the Bills and the Patriots was, and it's like the two of the plays that shift that game. Marcus Jones getting a pick in the red zone, and then at the end, Christian Gonzalez getting there a little bit early on a pass breakup. And this is basically if you just took what were kind of 2 bang-bang plays there and flipped them in the other direction between 2 teams that kind of seem to be evenly matched.
Right.
And so, that's what makes life tough in the NFL. And, I think it's pretty clear that those were just bad calls. Like, that Marcus Jones one to me is inexcusable. I don't understand how that isn't Patriots football. But also, you look around the NFL today, the officiating across the board has not been good this year.
Terrible.
I think if you are on the team, if you're a coach, if you're a player, you think you have to go in knowing that there might be a margin of error here, and that if you want to win the game, you have to play outside of it, so that if there's a bad call, you still have a little insurance to play with. And like these calls, I'm not going to. Those calls need to be better, and I thought the Patriots, we said their defense is probably going to need to make one play. I thought they made the play, and the refs took it away. The problem is that when your defense is only capable of making one play for that long of a stretch of any variety, you're going to have a tough time. And if you're kind of banking on the refs bailing you out on something, or even just making the correct call when you only give them one opportunity on a close play, you're playing with fire. You should, if you have a 21-0 lead, it should never come down to a bad call. Period. It should never get into that.
Well, and that's ultimately what it comes down to, right? The officiating. Did the officiating suck? Absolutely. Is that the reason you lost? Absolutely not. By the way, my dad points out the block in the back on Schooler, which is just so blatantly obvious right in front of the ref, and they don't call it. Yeah. And again, it's only a 12-yard return. But really, it ends up being like a 20-yard gain because they should have lost 10 yards on the play, and instead they pick up 12. And it's just, that's the type of stuff where it's inexcusable. That's just The guy's behind Schooler, and he magically blocks Schooler out of the way. How do you think he made the block? Even if you didn't see him block him in the back, he's behind Schooler. How else could he have blocked him? It makes absolutely no sense that you wouldn't make that call as soon as it happens. It's crazy to me that they let that go. And it's that type of stuff. This was all in the second half. All these calls were in the second half. Huge call after huge call after huge call missed. And I have Bills fans in my mentions complaining about the James Cook one where his elbow touches the ground, clearly touches the ground before the first down marker. It was short. Now,
well, and this is also one of those where it's tough because like the Bills fans are saying that because on the broadcast they said we don't understand how they got to this call, and it's like you realize that so much of the discourse around the stuff is also shaped by what they say on the broadcast too, and if the broadcaster's initial assumption on a play is wrong, or just not wrong, like they're working in live time with quick access to replays. If they just don't see something at the angle and give an opinion of something, and that might not be the full picture, that becomes the story regardless of how things actually played out. There's a couple other calls that I think were the correct calls that I think we can get into as big catalysts when we get to the collapse here. If you want to do your ad break, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, sure. Let's do. Let's get into it. So this ad break, of course, is for Prize Picks. Prize Picks is a proud sponsor of this podcast and the entire CLNS group. It is the #1 daily fantasy sports app out there on the market. It is the best time of year for sports. There's bowl games. There's basketball matchups. There's playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, what games to watch, there's one place where it feels good to be right. Prize Picks. And again, I was 2-0. I gloated a little bit during the last ad read. I blew it. I just completely whiffed on my lineup this week. Unfortunately, had Drake May more than 219 whatever passing yards. That one didn't hit. Unfortunately, what are you going to do? But Prize Picks does have now, they do have early payouts. So if your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. And listen, fantasy playoffs this week. So if you didn't make the fantasy playoffs, or if you lost in the fantasy playoffs like me, you can still play daily fantasy sports on Prize Picks. What you're going to do is download the Prize Picks app, put in the promo code CLNS. When you do that, you're going to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right. So, the collapse. Oh, my God, the collapse. Jesus Christ.
Not pretty.
I mean, it just 5 straight touchdown drives. And
felt like that 2021 game all over again, or that playoff game.
No puns. Just brutal, man. You touched on it before about special teams, and I thought one of the interesting wrinkles, and Mike Reese mentioned this, and I kind of quote tweeted it, and I asked the question. Mike Reese said that one of the things that sprung those returns was they put offensive linemen on the field for those kickoff returns, and they ran behind the offensive linemen.
The Bills
did. And that got me thinking, why aren't we putting offensive linemen on the kick return?
Well, they've done.
They're only 5 yards away, right? 5 or 10 yards away from each other. It's fairly close quarters, and who's better at blocking than offensive linemen are, right?
It just has to do with the balance between ability to block and ability to block in space. And the Patriots had done a version of this themselves on punt returns, where they have that punt return unit where they put all the defensive linemen out there. Right. And it's kind of a similar concept in theory, just to have a little more strength to create some more space. And I guess Bills are doing something like that. Patriots did not have an answer for it. I pulled the stat, put it on Twitter, but Patriots had on kickoff returns like 0.68 expected points added in total over the course of the game. And the Bills had over 6, I think almost 7 points added, just expected points just on kickoff returns.
How much?
Almost 7 points.
Okay. I thought I heard 6, almost 7. I was just,
Yes, it was 6, almost 7. Yeah, good thing that almost is in there.
Yes.
But
I'll tell you
just
what.
like,
Let me tell you what, man. I'm gonna tell you what. You John Gruden here. Caleb Murphy probably shouldn't be playing anymore. Probably shouldn't be playing anymore, considering that every single one of those returns was right at him, and he just couldn't do it.
Well, they brought him in. He had a special teams background, and I thought he was going to be better than Elijah Ponder, who had some rough moments. But just
not
when I think what's brutal here is you go up, it's 21-0, and like you should be in a really good spot at that point, and you give up your second big kickoff return of the game after that with a 38-yard return with a 15-yard penalty on Schooler tacked onto the end. Just giving them free yards. I'm like, all right, you're up 21-0, but the Bills are 42 yards away from the end zone right now.
It's just terrible.
Like
terrible.
You're letting them play on easy mode, and there's just no. You should never let Josh Allen play on easy mode. What are you doing, man?
Well, that's the thing. You give that one up, and then to start the second half, you go 58-yarder again, and it's just like, what are you doing? It's just like that's the type of stuff that you just. It can't happen. It can't happen. And what I keep coming back to, and we'll talk about this game, but I think when you talk about big picture, these are the things that worry you. This is the stuff that concerns you, right? And the alarming stat. I mentioned the alarming stats for James Cook. James Cook. Here's this stat is going to blow your mind. I hope you guys are sitting down because the stat's going to blow your mind. James Cook had 22 carries for 107 yards. His longest rush of the day was 12 yards.
Yep. And this fits. This is what we talked about on the preview show. The Patriots are like they're recently they're like 20 something in expected points per play allowed running, but they're dead last in success rate. And that's what it was today. And the whole scheme they run on defense. The idea is to get penetration, and like we're going to trade the fact that we give up some big runs for the fact that by getting penetration, we're going to create a couple negatives, get some TFLs in there, and that'll get you behind the chains. And then we get to do what we do on pass defense. And that has just been like non-existent for them for the last month and a half. And maybe I think losing Milton Williams is a pretty big part of that.
Yeah.
But like I'll jump in ahead. One of the touchdowns, I think the last touchdown, the game winner from Cook, your gap sound. You've got every single gap accounted for. And the reason why you give up a touchdown run on it is because Kyrus Tonga gets too much penetration. He gets so far into the backfield that it opens up a hole around him. And Cook just runs right through that. And it's like an 11-yard touchdown run.
Yep.
And this right here is basically the trade-off, the difference between the Belichick philosophy of the run and this newer school, Vrabel's philosophy. That's not just him. This is what you see with a lot of like the cover 4 guys and Vic Fangio's. For the Belichick scheme, it's all contain. The entire run defense is designed to funnel everything to the middle of the field where the linebackers are going to make tackles. And this Vrabel scheme is the opposite. It's we're going to try to get up the field as far as possible. And even if that guy doesn't make a tackle, that's going to cause enough disruption that everyone else can swarm to the ball wherever that is on the field. But it happened early in the game today, I thought, and it just goes away. And you just need if you're going to do this, you need better players.
There was also the first touchdown, the touchdown pass to Cook in the first half. You go back and watch the film. I'm telling you, I was so pissed. It was in my end zone, and the Patriots were running. I'm not sure if it was 2 or 3 linebackers. They had 2 linebackers standing next to each other. The inside linebacker is the one that had James Cook.
Yep.
So James Cook runs into the flat, and the 2 Patriots linebackers run into each other. And it's like, what are you doing?
So here's the thing. It's actually not the inside linebacker there. It's because they have Dawson Knox in line there at tight end, and they have Christian Gonzalez on him. So it's not in the linebackers running into, it's that Christian Gonzalez is on the tight end and the linebackers on the back.
So
there.
why are they standing? I mean, it makes no sense for them to be standing next to each other. That just makes absolutely no sense.
And this is I think one of the basic things I probably got to get better at there is that when there's the opportunity for some kind of rub route, anything that could make defenders collide into each other, or any kind of friction that can be caused there, you have to kind of navigate that in advance communication wise, and you're probably just getting on different levels. Like you should be at different depths,
right?
Even if it's a yard off, enough so that you're not bumping into each other and you can get a clear shot at wherever you're trying to get to.
Right. It's true, and
just not there.
Yeah, it's just so. Anyways, I was watching. I was like, "You gotta be kidding me, man! Like, how do you run into each other?"
And Ellis also hesitates a ton getting over
he
there
does.
too.
Yeah, I agree.
But
it was bad. I was pissed at that one, and this is what. Unfortunately, you go into the half up 24-7, and all I could think of was the Bills are coming. You know they're coming.
Yeah.
And you just have to play good enough offensively to hold them off. And the Patriots have a long touchdown run, and they pick up one first down outside of that. And listen, the Bills controlled the clock, and they were able to run the ball and all that other stuff. And listen, you can give me excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse. And as bad as the defense was, what I will tell you is that I'm going to take the blame for this loss, and I am going to put it squarely on the shoulders of Drake May. That's what I'm going to do. And the reason I'm going to do that is because you cannot sit here for 13 weeks and tell me that he's the MVP of the league and he's the best player here and he's going to be MVP and he's the best quarterback in the league, and then tell me that it's not his fault that they only picked up one first down in the second half. The defense gave up a ton of yards, and they didn't have the ball, and they couldn't get in a rhythm on offense, and his guys weren't getting open. I don't care. Josh Allen, how did it go last week for the Buffalo Bills when they were getting absolutely destroyed by the Cincinnati Bengals? Josh Allen won God mode and won the game for them.
Yep.
Where's Drake May doing that this week? I didn't see Drake May do that this week. And again, I'm not saying that he was the only problem. I'm not saying
the blame pie is big and everyone gets a spoon.
100%. But for me, if you're telling me that he's the MVP, that he's the best quarterback in the league this year, he has to win this game. You cannot lose a hat and t-shirt game up 24-7 at the half. You just can't. You cannot do it.
Well, here's the thing: if they go out and the offense scores another 21 in the second half and you still lose, I'll take the blame.
Bingo. Yes.
But I think I brought this up before, but I think the play that summarizes this to me, it's your first possession of the second half. So it was just 21-0. Now it's 24-14. This game has gotten mighty close in a hurry, and you need to make some plays.
Yep.
You come out and you run the ball on the first play. Makes sense the way you've been running the ball. Got no issues with that.
Yeah,
they should have been leaning on the run in this one.
Yeah.
A guy who probably gets an underrated game ball in this if they win is Thayer Munford, because I thought he had some really, really, really nice plays as the sixth offensive lineman. But you run the ball -1 yards. So 2nd and 11. And Stephon Diggs is open in the flat. And May throws it to him. It's completion, 4-yard pass. And May does make a good play here because it's Joey Bosa coming in on Hunter Henry, and it's not well blocked because it's Joey Bosa and Hunter Henry, and it's a play action rollout, and he just has to get the ball to Diggs. But the difference between a good play and a great play there is that Diggs has a ton of room to run, and May short arms it because of the pressure, which he usually makes this throw under pressure. So it's a 4-yard completion that sets you up with 3rd and 7 when you might be able to move the chains on that.
For sure. That would have been a 15 to 20 yard completion. And if he breaks, there's only one guy there, and that guy was past the sticks. If Diggs shakes that guy, he's picking up 30 on that play, right? Just give him a chance to run instead of throwing it short and making him die for it. It's a great point.
Yep. And then May takes a sack on the next play, which I didn't think this sack was on him. I think if we're gonna assign some blame in the second half, I do think one of the big differences between how Josh Allen played and how Drake May played, Josh Allen was able to consistently run the ball because the Patriots defensive line did not play well. The Bills, I thought, adjusted really well to how that we used Drake May in the first half, because I thought pretty consistently in the second half, like they were able to get coverage sacks by collapsing the pocket and not giving him anywhere to run. Like Darian Lowe had some real rough reps. Like there's one where he gets put on his butt, and I don't remember if it's this one or a different one, but like it's a coverage sack. Then there ends up being there's nowhere for him to throw the ball, and the pocket collapses, so he can't run. There's no quarterback that can handle that. Right. The problem is you've been put in a situation because you were good and not great the play before.
Yep.
And you only end up having 18 plays in the second half. So like you have you have that 52-yard touchdown run.
Which, by the way,
21-0. You executed a quick 2-minute drive, which was well done to get a field goal, and then you run 3 plays, and like basically the next time you're on the field, it's a 1-possession game, which the defense and special teams contribute a lot to putting you in that situation. But the defense also ends up on the field a lot there because you come out of the half and you can't execute there. And just like the middle 8 of this game, you end up losing pretty badly because you have Bills touchdowns at 7 points. You get a field goal, so it's 7-3, but immediately out of it, it turns into like a 14-3 in the middle 8. In the game, you're up 21-0. And that right there is how the game flips on its head. And then May's just not able to find it again after that.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. And that's one of those hard things for me that like I just, and again, this is why I blame Drake May. It's not because it's all Drake May. There were a million other factors. As you said, the blame pie, there's a lot of pieces of blame pie here. A lot of pieces. Right?
I don't think there's a player on the roster who's not getting a slice after this.
That's correct. That is correct. Yep, I agree with that. And but again, when you're the MVP, when you're the guy, sometimes you got to strap it up and say, "Come on, guys, get on my back. We'll go. Let's go. We'll win." And and that's what, again, just look at the guy on the other sideline, right?
Yeah.
This week he was able to run the ball. Last week he wasn't really able to run the ball. He just did it himself. He said, "I'm just doing it myself. I'm just going to win the game by myself," and he did. And so sometimes you got to have a game like that, and Drake wasn't able to do that today. Now, it doesn't mean he's a bad quarterback. It doesn't mean I don't think he's phenomenal in the future. And that doesn't mean any of those things. It just means that today, in this game, he wasn't able to win. Now, the hope is, and this is where I don't want to say one of the things for me coming out of this game, the Pittsburgh Steelers game, I think was a hugely important game for the Patriots. What it showed them was that you can play with anyone. You just can't turn the ball over and make stupid mistakes. So if we can limit those stupid mistakes, you can play with and beat anyone. Yeah. And they went on a 10-game winning streak, and it was not making stupid mistakes and, capitalizing on stupid football by other teams. And then this game comes, and you go out to a big lead, and you just play sloppy defensively. You got bad penalties. You got mistakes. You have just things that are non-Patriot-like mistakes. Like bad special teams. That can't happen.
Yeah, can I say what I think is probably the most impactful play of this game that really ends up hurting you too? Just like underrated.
Yeah.
But we talk about special teams. The Patriots do finally get a good return. Finally, you get a good return. Comes back because Marty Mapu holds on it. And he absolutely held, and he absolutely did not need to hold.
Just so unnecessary.
And it's sloppy. And like when you look at it's essentially it's a 35-yard penalty between where the ball would have been and where it was.
Yep.
And it's just like the way that we talked about that first drive. This is the second drive of the half for the Patriots. And you start at your own 19 instead of being in Buffalo territory.
Right.
You're able to quickly pick up yards. May makes a good play on the first play, and you hit a quick swing pass, and Ramondre beats a guy, and you get a little bit lucky after that there's a skirmish, and they don't eject Ramondre Stevenson for hitting someone in the face.
Did he hit someone in the face? I didn't even see it.
Yes. There was a skirmish, and the Bills 100% started it, but then Ramondre open hands to the face. So not a punch, but you could eject him for that if you want. And they end up just calling offsetting because it was like Ramondre did the worst thing, but the Bills initiated it, and I think the refs were just like, this is just game management. We're gonna do offsetting. Don't do it again.
I couldn't see what happened there, so I wasn't sure what exactly happened. And I didn't see a replay. So
Ramondre gets unlucky. You end up getting a good play on first down after that. Another quick check down to Trevion Henderson, and then another play out there after that where Diggs isn't on the field because they're going with the pony personnel with Hollins and Booty, and Lowe gets destroyed on second down, and then May has to ends up throwing to Hollins, who's completely covered. The play has no chance instead of being able to scramble because the pocket collapses on him. Now you're in third down, you're able to pick it up, and you finally get into Bills territory, and then that's when that drive just totally falls apart. First down play that goes shot play that goes nowhere, where again he tries to scramble and there's nowhere to go because the Bills do a really good job with it. Second down play where he throws it right to a safety who does not catch the ball. And that should have been a 5 to 7 yard pickup to Hunter Henry to set up third and short.
Yep.
And then
it was an interception. It's just it was an awful throw.
And you get lucky. It's 3rd and 10, and then a Vidarian Lowe false start, and then a Michael Winu holding penalty. And now you're in 3rd and 25 at your own 42-yard line. And it's all right, well, if you don't hold on the kickoff return, at least this entire sequence where you blow up is happening in field goal range and you still salvage 3 points out of it. Right. Instead, you're chucking up a prayer on 3rd and 25 that gets picked off. And you can't even play for the opportunity to get into field goal range. You can't take a check down and try to make something happen with it. And I think that pick is fine. It's an arm punt. It pins Buffalo deep. I think that's the worst field position they had all game after that. So I'm not going to complain too much about that once you get into the 3rd and 25. But you're in 3rd and 25 because you don't execute on second down. May makes a bad throw, which puts players in a bad spot. And it's you have Vidarian Lowe out there. You're asking him to defend these quality edge rushers in 3rd and long a lot. He's probably going to false start. He's a backup offensive tackle. That's what he does. You got to find a way to overcome it. And stack penalties there.
I thought Lowe was fine. I thought Lowe was fine today.
I didn't think he was good in the second half.
Not great.
I thought he was fine in the first.
No one on the offensive line was great in the second half, but
the line was good in the first half. It was just in the second half. The consistent issue was the collapsing of the pocket. Yeah. There was, when plays broke down, there was nowhere for May to go, and the Bills didn't have that issue. Because if you go before this, there's that whole sequence, which that's when the game is now a one-score game, 24-21. And the reason is because before that, after the other sequence we talked about, the Bills start and have big or successful plays in the first 5 plays of their next drive. 16-yard completion with Charles Woods in coverage because Carlton Davis is hurt. 6-yard run, 9-yard check down, 8-yard run, 13-yard check down. All right, well, all of a sudden the Bills are in the red zone.
Right. Yeah. It's just
and you can't get off the field in 3rd down because of a defensive holding. You can't get off the field again on 3rd down was that 3rd down, the touchdown run? Yeah. Touchdown run on 3rd down. Just defense had no ability. They had ability to have not a negative play, but not a massively successful play for 1 or 2 plays in a row. Couldn't do it for 3 plays in a row for most of the second half.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it felt like it was all attacking linebackers and safeties.
Obviously they figured something out, and they were able to adjust to what the Patriots were doing, and unfortunately the Patriots couldn't combat it, and just is what it is. And so, unfortunately sometimes you tip your cap and just say the team's better than us, which they are. And Josh Allen's a better quarterback than Drake May. I'm sorry, he is.
Right now he is. Yeah.
Right now he is. Doesn't mean that Drake May can't be someday. But he's a better quarterback. It just is what it is. Like, and by the way, he's in like his 7th year or something like that. He won the MVP last year. He's a phenomenal quarterback. He might be the best quarterback in the league. So, like, it just is what it is.
But it's just all a lot of opportunities to make a play in the second half where they just didn't do it. After that, you immediately get them into a 3rd and long after the pick, and it's 3rd and 7, and you those fancy coverages that are working in the first half don't work there. You go for like the inverted cover 2, and I think it was Dalton Kincaid or Dawson Knox, one of the tight ends, gets behind the entire defense. Yeah, it's Dalton Kincaid.
He's the best player on their team. He's the only receiver that they have, and he's wide open 30 yards down the field.
Well, like, what's the hole in cover 2 is always up the middle. That's just how you beat it. So usually when you play this, you have some kind of, if you're playing like Tampa 2 or anything, you're going to have someone in the middle of the field who can go deeper in case someone does go up the seam.
And guess who was there? Monte Mapu.
Oh, and Dalton Kincaid can't, what do you call it? Like, he falls down on the catch. Like, he just kind of goes down. If he doesn't turtle on that, it could have been a touchdown. Right. No one was near him. He was behind everyone on the defense. On a 3rd and 7.
Just completely inexcusable.
That's just, you're not playing good enough team defense. And it's right up the middle on you. And, that's the drive where the Bills go take the lead. This is the one with the Marcus Jones play on it. So, like, but and you also get the 3rd and 14 for a touchdown. Like, even without that Marcus Jones play, you have 2 different opportunities to at least hold them to a field goal or something. Like, you have 3rd and 7 and 3rd and 14 on the same drive. 3rd and 14 in the red zone, high red zone. That's the most difficult play for the offense to make because the field is congested and you can only go one spot with it, basically.
Yeah.
And they still beat you because you've got your edge rushers can't communicate, aren't on the same page. So you give Josh Allen way too much time. And yeah, of course the Bills are going to beat Jack Gibbons in coverage when you give him that much time.
Right.
Why is Jack Gibbons out there in that
this
situation?
Makes no sense. No sense.
Yeah. Just not good football. Then all of a sudden you're losing. And you immediately retake the lead with the Travion Henderson run. But that's not Drake May. And like outside of that one play, they gained 15 yards on 17 plays in the half.
Which, by the way,
I think
I despised that play call. They ran the exact same play earlier in the game, and they lost 5 yards on it that time too. And this play was dead in the water. It was a 5-yard loss, and it just so happened that instead of someone breaking through and tackling him, he had blockers in front of him that had gotten shoved back 5 yards, and he was able to cut back to the left and score a touchdown. And it just like, I hated that play call. It didn't work. The first time they ran it again. It didn't work again. And Pat Sat says it too. Like, Jack Westover, a special teams guy. He says almost, that's kind. He is completely useless as a fullback. Completely useless as a fullback.
He had one really good block today, and that was about it.
Did it do anything? Did it spring anything? And I feel like every time he's in the game, it does nothing.
It was on one of the last 2 drives on the first play of that helped turn it into like a 6 or 7 yard run.
Okay.
For a drive starter, that's fine. That's a good play, but that's one play.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the thing. If he's on the field for 15 plays and one of those is good, it's just not good enough. It's not good enough. Just stop putting him out there. Do something different because it's not working. It's not working.
Well, this is something that I think we identified back in camp. Is like, all right, are they going to sign a fullback? And they didn't sign a fullback, so we all assumed they're probably not going to use the fullback that much, or they have someone else they like. And I get why you might try, especially with where this team was. I get why you might say we're going to try Westover for a year and try to develop him because we're a young team and we're going to invest in our guys. And like, it hasn't worked. But at some point, let's go out and get a fullback.
You got to. If you want to use a fullback, you got to get a fullback.
Yeah. And I think as a whole, between fullback, tight end, offensive line, having more powerful blockers there, one or two more guys in there where it's like, this guy's just, he's not good at the rest, but he's a B+ blocker, I think would be important for them to have right now.
Yeah.
So which is funny to say after a day where you had like 200 something rushing.
I know. That's why we haven't gotten into the draft yet.
Yeah.
And we were going to work on it. We were going to do a mock draft over bye week, and we didn't. But
I start. That's on me, by the way.
that's fine. It is what it is. I'm not worried about it. But there's a guy, and I sent you his name, Jennings. I think it's Jennings Dunker.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, he's an offensive lineman, and he's an absolute just. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I love him so much. He's a redhead with a mullet.
Ooh.
6'5", 315, plays at Iowa, and he is mean and nasty, and he plays right tackle. And so you would move him to left guard, and you would take Jared Wilson and move him to center. Or you could leave him at right tackle if you want. He's not the longest guy. So I think he's probably going to end up being a guard. But you draft him and throw him at left guard, and move Wilson over to center. And now it's like, all right, we get this strong, powerful guy who loves to run block, and it plays mean like Will Campbell does on the left-hand side, and you feel good about your run game. So anyways, I saw that guy, and I was like, oh my, I'm watching film, and I'm like, oh, this guy's so much fun. I love this guy. So so we'll see.
Coming back to this real quick. You have that long Trevion Henderson run. It reignites the stadium. You're back in the lead. And if we go back to the first meeting between these teams, we talked about how Patriots have that 2-score lead late. And you're doing the math. And Josh Allen's going to be Josh Allen. He's probably going to score. With the number of drives left, you just need one scoring drive and you're going to win. And you get one scoring drive and you win. And that's kind of how it felt this might be. That you survive the Josh Allen run. Get the touchdown to answer it all in one play, and okay, we can settle this back down. And it's just the Josh Allen run was not over. And I think I credit this. The running game for the Bills was so good. You were not creating negative plays against them whatsoever. And it's all right, well, if you're going to load the box and you're going to sell out to stop the run and you can't stop the run, you're up a creek without a paddle. Because you're sacrificing the pass rush and you're not in situations where you can get aggressive about rushing the passer anyway. You're going to have your run stuffers out there and the box is going to be loaded and they can start to create some big plays against you through the air. And it's just that next possession, it's what do you get? You get a 12-yard pass right off the bat, then a 6-yard run. You're able to force an incompletion to force a third down, and that's where the Carlton Davis penalty happens. And then it's 12-yard pass, 9-yard pass, 11-yard touchdown.
Yes. So
it just happened so quickly.
Yeah, I agree. The other thing that's interesting for me is that on the very first play of that drive, they have Josh Allen kind of, they don't, it's not terrible, but they have Josh Allen a little bit confused, and it looks like Brandon Cooks is wide open downfield. Mm-hmm. And Josh Allen rifles it down there to him. And Jalen Hawkins is baiting him. He's waiting for him to throw it. He's making it look like Brandon Cooks is open. And unfortunately, the ball is just over their heads. And so if that pass was on target to Cooks, it's a pick. And it just ended up being just out of their reach over his head. I think they got a piece of it. But if that ball is going to hit Brandon Cooks in the chest, it's an easy interception for Jalen Hawkins, and the Patriots probably win the game. But because it ended up being over Brandon Cooks' head, and Cooks stopped. Instead of Cooks running, he stopped. And, it's just just the way it worked out, right? And Hawkins has to go to Brandon Cooks. He's not going to run behind him. That'd be stupid. So, of course, he has to go to where Cooks is. It ends up being just over their heads. But if Cooks is running down the field, or again, if that pass is 3 yards shorter, it's an interception for Jalen Hawkins. And, the Patriots are picking off Josh Allen after just scoring a long touchdown. And you're just everything swings the Patriots' way, and you feel like, okay, but now we're going to win. You know what I mean?
We got a good shot, yeah. And it's just that not making the situational plays. And, I don't think it helped that in this game. One of these Bills drives, Carlton Davis isn't on the field, and they're kind of able to pick on his replacement out there. And
Charles Woods, right?
Yeah, Charles Woods. And then Like Marcus Jones banged up. He's clearly not. He made a tackle at the end of the first half, came up limping, and clearly was not himself. And
Right.
you get to a point where it's like, all right, you're down your top defensive tackle, you're down your top linebacker, and your number 2 and number 3 in the secondary are banged up and kind of playing through it. So like I think some of these defensive woes are understandable, and like that I think is where the blame again shifts to Drake May, just because you're going against an MVP. You're banged up on defense.
Mm-hmm.
You know you're going to probably need 30 to win this game. And you get 30. Turns out you needed a little bit more. And I will say, both teams end up scoring on 5 drives in this game. And the difference maker, like neither team really gets a red zone stop. The Bills get a red zone stop because it's an end of half situation and you run out of clock there. But like if
the Patriots get one because the game's over.
Yep. So I don't know, puts you in a weird spot where like maybe like I don't know this game was probably overall just as even as the first matchup between the two. It just comes down to like the one play the Patriots could not make, and that's like you get that lead and the fact that you can't get a stop. It's 4 successful plays in a row if you include the penalty to end that drive, ending in a touchdown to retake the lead with under 7 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
Like that's brutal from your defense, the fact that you can't get anything. And after that, you have 7 more offensive plays. With that, the next drive on offense, you get a successful run to start. It's a 5-yard run behind Munford and Westover and Henry to the left side. You heavy personnel, and then Henderson gets bull rushed by Matt Milano, and it turns into a sack. This is okay. So we talked about this play before. So the Patriots have a concept that they absolutely love. Drake May loves it. You have 2 receivers on the same side of the field. The guy on the inside runs a hitch.
Mm-hmm.
The guy on the outside runs a dig. And what it does is because it's the in breaker behind the hitch, either whoever that zone defender is in that area, you either have to step up and take away the hitch from being thrown, or you have to back off into where the dig is going to be and let them check it down underneath. And the dig is open, it's wide open for a massive gain. And May's about to release it, and that's when Henderson gets bull rushed back into him. He tries to make this throw, and he can't because that's when he starts to get hit.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just... so now that's a sack. So you go from 2nd and 4 to like 3rd and 11.
Yep. And it's just not executing, not being able to execute in that situation. And listen, the Bills, at some point too, you got to tip your cap to the Bills and say, look, they made some plays, right? And sometimes it's not bad play by the Patriots; it's just good play by the Bills. And obviously we don't want to admit that, but that's the way it is sometimes. And but you have to be able to deal with that, and you have to be able to make enough plays where you can't get 1 first down in the second half. You just can't. And again, I know the defense and the special teams really is the thing that I walk away concerned about the most.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you can watch this game and feel good about the passing game, because the passing game was really rough today. Really rough today.
Benford.
And the Bills are missing their best corner.
And that's, I think, one of the weird things is how often Stephon Diggs not on the field in this game. So you go after that play, it's 3rd and 12, and you go back to the pony personnel, and it's 2 backs, 1 tight end, and Booty and Hollins. Like, it's 3rd and 12, and Diggs is not on the field. And this is a pattern I noticed is when they went to these longer down and distances, Diggs was coming off, which has me a little bit concerned that they don't see him as a down the field guy right now.
Yeah.
But like that 3rd and 12, you're asking your quarterback to make a play. And he makes a good but not a great play. He puts it on Hunter Henry at the sticks for what should be a first down, and it's just a little bit behind where you'd like it to be, and it goes through his hands. And that's this one I think is on Hunter Henry to me. The throw is not perfect, but like it's still on his hands at the sticks. This is why you get paid.
Right. He should have caught the ball. I do think that was not a good throw by May. But I am with you that Henry should have caught the ball. But a good throw, there's no question. He picks up the first down, and he might have picked up a few extra yards after that too. It was a bad throw. It was a bad throw. And again, just because it was a bad throw doesn't mean Hunter Henry doesn't catch the ball. He's still got to catch the ball.
I don't think it was a bad throw because like it was definitely catchable. Like I would file this into the good but not great category.
But he's throwing it behind him and over his head with the defender trailing him, which means Henry's going to get blown up catching the ball. He knows he's going to get blown up catching the ball. He does get blown up, but he drops the ball. Whereas if you throw it out in front of him, he catches it, and the guy probably tackles him, but maybe he doesn't. And that's just, you got to lead him there.
I hear what you're saying. On 3rd and 12, I will take ball in the hands of the receiver at a spot where if he catches it, it's a first down.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. To me, I just think that you got to be able to get him that ball in a better location. But again, if you're Hunter Henry, and Hunter Henry will just tell you, he'll tell you straight up, I got to catch the ball, right? Yeah. And Drake May will tell you straight up, I got to make a better throw. So, it's both. It's on both of them,
It's just it's not good enough. And that's like, the fact that you end up, just like the last drives here, like the drive before where you're able to get across midfield and you shoot yourself in the foot with bad throws and penalties. And then this one where your first play is successful, you get 5 yards on first down. You love that. And then it's immediately sack, drop, and you're off the field. And then the last drive of the game, 5 yards. It's not pretty, but you do get a 5-yard completion on first down.
Yep.
And it's 2nd and 5 with a drive where if you score a touchdown, you're probably gonna get first 2 playoff games at home. Like that's what we're talking about here.
Right.
And it's just May, that 2nd down, May doesn't make a great read on the play. It's another one where he tries to scramble and he thinks he has the edge and he doesn't. So it goes down as a 0-yard sack. He also can't get out of bounds on it, so the clock doesn't stop and you go down to the 2-minute warning. And then I thought the most egregious play, probably the most egregious play of the second half, is May's miss over the middle to Henry, where he throws it right to a safety that should be a pick.
Yes.
That is. But awful. The other one, 3rd and 5, 2 minutes left at your own 22-yard line. And they have Booty run an in-breaker from the left side. And he is immediately wide open for a first down. And instead...
I think it was Kyle Williams, not Booty.
No, it's Booty on that one.
I'm pretty sure Kyle Williams was wide open that play too.
Maybe. But like it's Booty on just it's like a 5-yard in. And it's man coverage and he wins. But they have a matchup
Maybe it was Booty. I don't know why I thought it was doesn't matter. I don't know why I thought it was.
Booty was wearing like the undershirt, like the loadout, the equipment that Kyle Williams usually wears today.
Okay.
With like the white undershirt. And I kept tripping me up during the game. But May is a one-on-one with Trevion Henderson with a linebacker, and he just sees that and decides I'm chucking it deep to him because he can win it. And Henderson doesn't even try to take the route deep. And it just goes, ball. Yeah. And it's like, man, on 3rd and 5 with the game on the line, to have a ball to no one when you had an open first down to a receiver you trust.
Yeah.
Like, Keyshawn Booty catches a 30-yard pass on 3rd down in the first quarter and does not get a target the rest of the game. And part of that's because you're running the ball so well that you're not throwing the ball that much. But to not get a target down the stretch, I don't know. May's up and down with the decision making, and then you get into 4th down where you try to scheme a receiver open, it doesn't happen. You extend a play and get a receiver open, and Joey Bosa makes a play. I mean,
Diggs
he makes a play.
Diggs gets held, and they don't call it.
And I thought, like, it would have been ticky-tack, but you could have called like the Bills see that there's a pick play coming. That's what the Patriots were trying to do with Hollins and Henry, and they're grabbing both of them. And I thought it would have been ticky-tack in particular because the Patriots receivers are also looking for contact there too. Right. But just the way the game went, I'm like, okay, well, if you're going to, like, they were calling it when Bills receivers are crossing your face the other way. So I'd like to go the other direction. And, but, if you're playing in a position where you're asking for the refs to bail you out in a spot, like, when you're up 21-0, don't be down 4 needing a score with less than 5 minutes left in the game, needing the refs to make the call in your favor. Just don't put yourself in.
All right. You got anything else? I'm going to get the heck out of here.
I think we should mention 2 things here. Actually, I'm gonna mention 3 things.
Okay.
So I think 1 for playoff seeding for the Patriots now. The 1 seed is still a possibility.
Unlikely, but possibility.
It's a pipe dream. What you need to happen, the Patriots need to go 3-0 down the stretch, and the Broncos need to go 1-2. In theory, the Patriots could also go 2-1, and the Broncos could go 0-3. You need to be 2 games better than Denver.
Right.
Basically, is the way it works out. Denver's remaining games: at home against Jacksonville, at Kansas City, and at home against the Chargers. All 3 of those are losable, I think, on paper. But that Jacksonville game, it's the Sunday late afternoon slot. If Jacksonville goes to Denver and wins, right now that's going to look great in the moment because that's 1 of 2 losses you need. But the flip side of it is this: if you lose to Baltimore, you're in a tie with Jacksonville now, and they're going to be ahead of you. So the Patriots are in range right now where they can fall to the 3 seed.
Yep.
And that's kind of like that the late afternoon slot into Sunday Night Football this Sunday. That's what that's going to be about. And then next game for Denver, you're at Kansas City. That's a game that I think a week ago we're saying, well, we can count on that as one of the losses for Denver. What other one do we need them to lose? Patrick Mahomes towards ACL and the Chiefs are out of the playoffs. I'm just marking that down as a win for Denver.
You would think. Yep. You would think.
And if that's going to be a win for Denver, they have to lose the other 2. So the 1 seed, I feel like
the 1 seed's out of reach. The 1 seed's
it's not out of reach, but you're going to know by this time next Sunday, probably.
Yeah, I would say the 1 seed is out of reach, in my opinion. 2 games is a lot to come back from. I just don't see it happening. So, and again, you worry about the Baltimore game. Now, the thing is that the Baltimore game isn't important for the AFC East because you can still win the AFC East as long as you beat the Dolphins and the Jets. All you got to do is win those 2 games. You win the AFC East. However, as you said, if you lose that game to Baltimore and Jacksonville wins out, you're the 3 seed instead of the 2 seed. And I think it is massively important for you to be the 2 seed as opposed to the 3. I think that's massively important for you. And so let's hope that happens. I also think, too, that, Buffalo and Houston are probably going to be the 5 and the 6. And if that's the case, wouldn't you rather play the Chargers or the Chargers or the Colts? It's probably not going to be the Colts, but the Chargers or the Colts of the 7 seed? Like, those are the teams I'd rather play,
Well, in the way the schedule kind of looks right now, there is a Chargers-Texans game in Houston, week 17. And if Buffalo wins out, which I think is likely, they play the Eagles next week.
Yeah.
Or not next week, 2 weeks. Week 17 as well.
Yep.
So, that's the 50-51, but that's at home, and they should win the other 2 games that they have. So, if Buffalo wins out, then probably what happens here is the winner of that Houston-LA game is the 6. The loser is the 7.
Right.
So, like, if the Patriots win out here, you are, in all likelihood, playing whoever loses that game in week 17, which I think is probably going to be LA, and I think that's a good matchup for you. I don't hate that matchup at all.
Yeah.
I'd rather play them than Houston. And I don't hate the idea of getting Buffalo again. I think you've proven with the 2 games you played with Buffalo that you are probably about evenly matched, and it's going to come down to whatever one big play or whichever team makes, whatever quarterback makes a play. Like I'm afraid of Buffalo, but not overly afraid of Buffalo.
Right.
But like this is kind of how the seeding is looking right now, is that you're probably going to play the loser of that game if you win out, and the winner of that game if you win out, with the off chance of getting Buffalo if they lose to Philly.
Right.
Yeah. So that's because I think we know the 7. Or I think we know the 6 teams other than the AFC North in the playoffs. I don't think Indy's making it. With Phillip Rivers, I think they're out. I don't think Miami's making a run. Kansas City's out. I think that's the 6 that are in, other than the AFC North, are the 6 that make it.
I think probably, because the Ravens and the Colts are just outside, but I just don't see either of those teams getting in without winning their division. Obviously, the Steelers can get, the Steelers and Ravens can get in if they win their division. Although we'll see tonight, you never know. Tomorrow night, if the Dolphins win, they're 7-7. There's a chance, at least. I don't see the Texans losing 2 out of 3. I just don't see it happening. So that's what's going to take. Those teams have 7 losses. It's just going to be awfully difficult to do. So.
And the other thing I was going to point out for next year, I'm going to look ahead a little bit here. Patrick Mahomes gets hurt. Micah Parsons also hurt today, both torn ACLs. The Patriots play Green Bay and Kansas City next year. Yep. So just mark this down mentally for when we get to the offseason. But when we're looking for that Patriots schedule next year, when do you play Kansas City and when do you play Green Bay are going to be 2 massive questions to see who's going to be lining up on the other side.
Yep. I want to play Kansas City early because I'd like to go to Kansas City, and I can't go after Thanksgiving. But what are you going to do? By the way, speaking of that, first basketball game Tuesday night at home against Foxborough High, actually. So that'll be interesting. So hopefully Foxborough suffers another loss on Tuesday. We'll see though.
I just remembered another. What do you call it? One other note I want to make. Just a quick one here, but Julian Ashby had another false start today.
Yeah.
Like, our long snapper has 3 false starts this season.
It's weird.
What's going on with that?
Yeah, I don't know.
So that's a small thing, but that's just like such an unforced special teams free 5 yards. And like Schooler coming back today with the 15 yards, Mapu with the 15 yards. That's 35 yards of penalties on special teams.
Yeah, it's just unacceptable. Unacceptable.
There was some really good situational play early today in the way you come out, but situational play on special teams, situational play in the red zone, especially on defense, not good enough.
Got to clean it up. It's the details. Got to clean up the details.
And I think, especially with the red zone defense, I think you also just need better players. That's going to be part of it here.
Wow, yeah.
That's not going to get fixed between now and then. So the answer this year is going to be Drake May making plays. That's how you counteract that right now if you want to win.
Right.
Which I think Drake May right now, I can't believe it. I think he's entered the Dak Prescott tier officially, where good enough quarterback that you can play with anyone and in a big market for games that are on prime time.
Yes.
But also just good enough to be in a spot where he might make a mistake and you're going to lose because of that. and then he's going to get blamed because the rest of the team isn't good enough. I'm not going to say we're fully there right now because we're very early in this process. But we're flexed to Sunday Night Football next week. And if the run defense looks like this against the Ravens, then you end up in another high-scoring game where you're going to lose 40-35. And, he plays well but makes one mistake in there. That's going to be the way he's perceived, I think, which I don't know if that's fair. Maybe it's the only reason we're in some of these opportunities. But then once the expectations are there, you got to rise to meet them. That's
correct. That is correct. So, All right. Well, I think that's it. We're spent. We'll be back Thursday night previewing that Sunday Night Football game against the Ravens. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully we're here to air some grievances. Appreciate you guys coming through. A lot of good questions up here. A lot of good chatting going on. I like that.
Yeah.
I was thinking Connor asked about the Ravens, but I think we'll get into that Ravens discussion on Thursday. We're already we're 80 minutes in here. So, but again, thanks for the chat. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you guys, and be good to each other and go Pats.